Good afternoon. How are you? Well, it's a gorgeous day out. Temperature is 61 according to Thomas Jefferson. The humidity is 80, but it doesn't look like rain, but there are a lot of clouds. And the wind is 2.8 miles an hour. So that's where we stand. There are a number of things going on, and there's some encouraging signs. As a model for how America should treat abuse, we have King Charles stripping Prince Andrew of all of his titles. So the prince has lost his title. In fact, he was going around bragging that he still was a prince, and I suspect that the houses that he was trying to bargain for in the public papers and so forth, that's gone the way of the dodo bird. But it comes to mind, why aren't we doing the same to Tricky Trump? Because what he's doing is so all-encompassing. I mean, Epstein is only a part of this man's reign of error, and we have to do something about it. Now, twice this week, there has been some encouraging sign. The R's and the D's rebuked Trump's tariffs, and they also disregarded Trump's delivery boy, J.D. Vance. So that's an important statement, because there hasn't been pushback. And there's been other pushback from the courts. We'll go over that in a moment if I keep it straight in my mind. There's an example of truth in sentencing. In the Department of Injustice, we have prosecutors who, the honest ones, they're being tried for the equilibrium they can maintain in a world that tells them to do their job in an unethical and illegal fashion, rather than to subscribe to what brought them to these positions, and that is a belief in equal justice before the law and a process, and that facts have to be there combined with the law to advise a judge how to go forward. And so we have two prosecutors who submitted a sentencing memo, and they got suspended for the content of the the sentencing memo. Now, first of all, who is the defendant? A guy by the name of Taylor Taranto. He was a participant in the riots on January 6, 2021. He was pardoned for his role in that by no less than Tricky Trump. Then he threatened Obama, and as a result of that, he was arrested, and as of about now, he served 22 months in custody. The prosecutors, when they submitted their sentencing memo, they referred to the riots. What could be more relevant to a political threat than to cite his participation in an effort to overthrow the government? Now, the Justice Department sealed the memo, the sentencing memo, and suspended the two prosecutors on the case. When it came to the sentencing, the judge, today or yesterday, praised the prosecutors for being who they were, and they were in court, but not presenting the case. They were just there observing. And the judge unsealed the memo that they wrote, saying he saw no reason why it shouldn't be available. This is an example of the court following the law. Now, as for the sentence, the prosecutors had said they thought 27 months was right, if I have it correct. The judge said that it was close enough to what he'd spent in prison, and for the slight difference between the two, he's going to sentence him to time served. And everybody could be fine with that. But on the way to justice by a judge, in the face of injustice by the prosecutor, we have a situation in which people are led to believe our courts are not straight. And so that's why I believe the judge commented fairly on the professional demeanor and conduct of the two prosecutors and unsealed the memo so the world can see and should see what was presented on behalf of the government before there were those editing the just and fair remarks of these two prosecutors. The Hill is pushing back, not just on the tariffs, but on Killer Trump, the pirate of the Caribbean, because what he's seeking to do is apparently to have a reign of terror in the Atlantic, shooting and killing people in boats without any evidence that these people are committing any offense, without any legal justification. Indeed, I believe they're war crimes. And so people on the Hill are saying, where's the beef? And there have been, quote, briefings provided, but they're not being told what's going on. The Democrats are kept in the dark. Some Republicans are getting the information. I don't know what they're doing with it. But this is an out of control situation. And without crossing the T's and dotting the I's, meaning lawful engagements, well-researched, well-conducted, not in violation of international law nor local laws, and apparently without cooperation with the nation states that are there, whether it be Venezuela or Colombia. So we have that. And an overall way to look at this is we have such chaos in our government presently because we disregard the Constitution, the law, common sense, because we discriminate, because we presume things that are not demonstrated, and because we violate patterns of conduct that warranty reliability in what a government is doing and on our behalf. Now, courts are moving in their way to reassert that order, I believe. For example, the Court of Appeals is taking a second look at a ruling about whether or not you can send National Guard troops to Portland. And a 3-judge panel that 2-1 said, the troops probably could go back. Well, it looks like the court is going to reconsider that. That's a positive, because we're in the most conservative, perhaps, circuit court in America for that question. Now, what else do we have going on that doesn't make sense, and maybe is a thumb in the eye of other nation states, particularly NATO? The United States is withdrawing troops from Romania. What is that about? And they're going instead to Kentucky. Now, this is the eastern boundary of NATO, and we're pulling back. Now, many of us believe, looking at the conduct of the Trump regime, leads us to believe that they have no interest in preserving and protecting our government. It's almost like we are disarming ourselves and compromising rather than protecting and preserving our Constitution. Another element of betrayal, it seems to me, is how we invoke the children. And that's why we're doing something for the children. Well, We say that when the children die from gunfire. We say that when the children are hungry. We say that when the children need health care. In other words, we say exactly the opposite of what we do. A good example of this is the SNAP program. 42 million Americans depend on the food from this program. That includes children. It's not exclusive for children. And it turns out, as you may know, that there is a supplemental nutrition assistance program that is available, has funds in it, but is not being used or proposed to being used. So I think it's 21 states have gone to court. They're in Massachusetts. And the judge there said, if there ever was an emergency, this is it. And the court is saying those funds need be made available for the SNAP children and adults and whomever qualifies for the program. And he didn't want to hear any more agency lawyering about it. I'm sorry, I said he. I believe it's the judge is a woman. She didn't want to hear any more of this argument. She wanted it done, and she wanted it done now. So, where are we in America? I think we're in that place between two trend lines. The power of the authoritarian was going toward Trump, hasn't stopped, in part because there wasn't opposition among members of the legislature. That's been one change. The public made it very clear that we do not appreciate people acting as kings. And so there's been this movement at a time when a number of people are being effectively critical of the Trump regime. And so I don't know if a pivot is the right point, or a still place, but we're taking into a new direction. It's up to us to keep pushing it that way. It's very possible that the elections in the next couple of weeks will push it even further our way. Yes, I understand it's Virginia, it's New Jersey, it's New York. But we will be translating what happens at the polls, not just for those individual races, but where we think America stands. This may be good news for the end of the government shutdown. This may be good news to judges who, without saying it, are anxious about what it will mean to them individually, their families, and the law, if Trump turns on them and tries to crush them. But we see the formula from Kimmel, and it is to grow alliances and so forth. And it's just like the case in Massachusetts, all the attorneys general bonding together. And that's what we need. We need that universally across America. We need the people to get up off their ass and fight for our country. And so hopefully that will happen. I know you'll do what I do. We make calls, send messages, speak about it. And do not underrate the effectiveness of free speech. It matters. That's why it's the First Amendment to our Constitution. So, for the day, I say goodbye to you from my Cathedral of Trees, and I look forward to us joining together again tomorrow. All the best. Bye-bye.